Hey, I'm Alice and this is Studio 20 Live.
Welcome to the 5th episode of Studio 20 Live. As you can see, we've got a new co-host, Alice here. Thanks for joining us.
So welcome, it's good to be here.
How have you been this week?
Yeah, good. Really good actually, but you know, a little bit busy.
I know that. Well, I know I'm buried in assignments at the moment, like I'm sure many people at home are.
Yeah, it is crunch time. I'm not looking forward to week 13, but I'm doing okay.
Lots of procrastinating?
Yep, me sitting here, prime example.
Yeah, well, if the people at home have any way to procrastinate or fun ways to procrastinate, hashtag Studio 20 Live and let us know.
Yeah, we'll have a lot for you to hashtag this show actually. We're going to be chatting with Andre and he's going to be talking a bit about the news. We've had a massive week and we'll also be chatting with the UOWTV guys again to see what topical issues they've been covering.
And we're seeing Rangy Angie for one of her classic rants. I'm sure we'll love that. And we're also catching up with Nirmala Kirkman from Live Below the Line. She's living off $2 a day.
But to top it all off, we're going to change it up with the performance this week and we've got a little surprise for you at the end of the show.
Yeah, but to start things off, we have In the Limelight and we've got Mark Middleton. Mark Middleton. It's a tricky name, but we've got Mark Middleton in the Limelight. Alliteration.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark.
That's all right. Great to be along.
Yes, and you are a fitness trainer at UREC. You're also a PhD student and you're a tutor in the Faculty of Business.
Yeah, I try to combine all three things.
Yes, and the reason we have you on the show today is because you're also an ultra marathon runner. Now, for those at home that don't know what exactly that is, can you give us a brief explanation?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Basically, anything over a marathon is called an ultra marathon. And I tend to do off-road marathons, so it's on trails, anything off-road particularly. So 50 kilometres, 100 kilometres, the real serious ones, 100 miles. But I tend to stick to the 100 kilometre and 50 kilometre ones.
Oh, just a cheeky 50 or 100.
Yeah. Well, the easy question I think most people at home are asking, why do you want to run that amount of that distance?
It's a very good question. Once you've run one, you'll know the answer, and that's probably the easiest thing I can say. But really it's a challenge. Challenge yourself, test yourself. I used to run a lot, shorter distances. I did some adventure racing. And then, to be honest, I did a lot of multi-day hiking, and there's a particular run called the Overland Track Run, which is 85 kilometres, and I've always wanted to run it. But to do that, you had to get a qualifying time. So I had to start training for what they call the North Face 100.
What did that entail, the training especially?
Well, for the very first one, not a great deal, because we decided about 2 or 3 weeks beforehand that we were going to run it. So,
gosh, that's not a lot of time
to
train for 100 kilometres.
And the after effect wasn't much fun either. We were quite sore afterwards. But
how sore are we talking? Could you walk?
We could walk, but I guess for about 3 or 4 days we were walking fairly stiffly, mainly knees. So,
how long does it take you to recover from an event? I heard you played in a grand final after one of your running events? Yeah,
once we did the qualifying time, we managed to get through that, and we did what's called the Overland Track Run, like I explained before. We ran it this year in February, so it's 85 kilometres of a lot of off-road trail running. And unfortunately, a semi-final for my touch footy team appeared on the Monday afterwards, and I had to compete in that. I got through. We lost, unfortunately, but I did finish the game. So.
Well, that's quite a lot to put on your body. Can you tell us a little bit about those limits that you and Beck, your wife, have sort of reached or pushed in running ultras? Yeah.
So for those who are watching, my wife and I tend to run together. That's our sort of deal. It's something we do together. Some see it as strange, some see it as nice. It seems to work, so
some see it as Ken and Barbie.
That's right, Ken and Barbie, yeah. We were actually called Ken and Barbie, we discovered after one of our runs. That's a different story. Look, at certain points in the race, you feel like stopping and sitting down and just, that's it. If you're somewhere near a road, hitchhiking home, walking out, catching a bus, they make you carry certain safety gear so you can sort of stop if you need to.
Yeah.
I guess though, with 2 of us running together, we encourage each other on. There was a point in the last run in Tasmania. It was quite hot when my wife was hallucinating and kept seeing me running up hills and different parts and walking on water and all sorts of strange things she saw. But she got through.
She just kept running through the hallucinations.
Yeah, she then realised he can't be doing that. He's got to be just ahead of me because I was sort of leading the way at that point. So, yeah.
And back to the point we were talking about before where you had to have this qualifying time, which you believed was under 18 hours.
Yeah.
Now, you've brought in a bronze medallion. Can you tell us about this?
It's a big medallion. With the North Face 100, which is probably the most well-known of these sort of ultra marathons, 100 kilometres in the Blue Mountains. It's on next weekend, actually.
Yeah, next weekend.
It is. I thought for the qualifying time we needed to beat 18 hours. So we ran fairly hard. This is one we hadn't really trained for. And we made it in 17 hours 50 or thereabouts. I only discovered a few days later on that it actually was 20 hours we had to beat.
Gosh.
So we were 2 and a bit hours in. But they gave us a buckle because we beat the 18 hours. So everyone who beats...
Almost unintentionally.
Yeah. I did want the buckle. My wife didn't really want the buckle, but...
But you both got the buckle.
Yeah, we both got the buckle. I have worn mine twice, more as a dress-up thing.
For special occasions.
Very much for special occasions.
Weddings.
Straight to the pool room, that
Maybe
one.
not weddings, yeah. It's in the trophy room, yeah, exactly.
Conversation piece.
Yeah, but it is something, it's a coveted item.
Yes, absolutely. One for the grandkids.
That's right, yes.
Do you have any more goals with your running now that you've accomplished your bronze?
Yeah, we're aiming to do 3 or 4 ultramarathons a year, and a lot of them are put on sort of famous walking trails, so we've got to compete them. So we're doing the 50k in next weekend, and we aim to do the Bogon to Hotham run, which is about, I think it's a 65k run down in Victoria. So that's our next aim.
Mark, best of luck with the North Face 100 next week and the rest of your running, and thank you so much for joining us.
No worries at all. And I encourage anyone, get stuck in and do it. Anyone can do it.
I'll be at your class tonight.
I'll see you then.
We're now going to cross over to UOWTV and have a look at some of the proposed changes in the education.
With the federal budget to be released next week, universities and students alike are speculating about the impact on higher education.
You have a lot of students talk to me, both formally and informally, about how concerned they are about the deregulations of fees and the possible increase of fees. I think all students should be very much concerned.
The Audit Commission report predicted that the government would save $1.5 billion a year if university fees were to be deregulated.
Yeah, I think the problem with the deregulation of fees and the idea that universities can become more competitive is a complete fallacy. If you look at somewhere like the Illawarra, UOW has a monopoly on the tertiary education here, on bachelors and masters and doctorates. So the idea that there's going to be competition created in the Illawarra is not right.
It also recommended the reduction of government funding from 59% to 45%, and to increase student contributions from 41% to 55%. According to Chris Pine, increases in student contributions are justified because a person with a bachelor's degree will earn 75% more money in their lifetime than those without a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, that statistic just shows how much we should be incentivising tertiary education. I suspect those figures are not new grads. I suspect those figures are people that are late into their careers anyway. But the taxable income of people that have a tertiary education is great higher than those that don't. And so that just shows that the government should be incentivising tertiary education or decentivizing it.
Good work there, Angelique.
Thank you.
Now, before we get to the crux of the issue, those graphics were fantastic.
Thank you.
Good to know education's paying off, right, Alice?
Yeah. How did you incorporate that?
Well, I thought that the story was quite number heavy.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think I have a very short attention span, so I thought that
Don't we
pictures
all?
would help people keep engaged with the heavy material. Something like the budget isn't generally people are interested in, but I think everyone has a vested interest.
Yeah, and something that we didn't cover in the video was also the changes to the threshold. What's happening there?
So the Commission of Audit report last week recommended that the threshold where you pay back your HECS debt will be lowered from $51,000 down to $32,000. So once you start making income above $32,000, you will start paying your HECS back.
So it's not really setting us up for lifetime expenditure, I'm assuming.
No, not particularly.
Oh, that's, well, what can we do? I suppose it's all proposed at the moment, isn't it? So counting down to Tuesday and the budget release.
That'll be really interesting to see what happens. Thanks for coming in, Angelique. That was really interesting. And we're going to continue with the news theme. We're going to catch up now with Andre in the newsroom. We'll see what's been going on in the news this week.
Have we got you there, Andre?
Andre.
Hey, how you going, guys?
There he is.
There he is, our number one political correspondent.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
Not a problem. Well, like you guys were saying earlier, there's quite a great deal in the news this week, in particular the budget. But before we get on to that, one of the big news stories today is a number of journalists from the Mercury are striking.
That's right.
The MEAA has been reporting, as has a number of the big papers and the ABC, that the Fairfax company will be shedding roughly 70 jobs, and 40 of those jobs will be photographers, some of them who have been with the paper for many decades.
How long's the strike been going on for, Andre?
Well, the strike's been going on since this morning. The union that represents journalists, which is the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance, has said that staff were given 20 minutes notice yesterday that they could possibly be losing their jobs, and they announced strike action yesterday afternoon. So it's been going on since this morning.
What are they hoping to accomplish with the strikes, Andre?
Well, I'm hopefully reducing the number of the cuts. The MEAA is asserting that these are a number of very experienced journalists that will be going, photojournalists, and they'll be being replaced with an agency, namely Getty Images, which does have a presence in Australia, but mostly with sport and not in the news journalism that a lot of these great photographers are well known for.
And that has big implications for us upcoming journalists who might have been shadowing these people.
Well, that's very true. It's a very concerning move, and it's very sort of evident of the massive structural change that's going on in the journalism world at the moment.
Yes,
and
and
particular in sort of
our multimedia reporters were there checking it out this morning, so we might have a look at what they discovered.
Sarah Naven, UOW Update.
That was really interesting, Alice.
Yeah, well, at least, you know, it's exposed. We know about it.
Well, the people in the newsroom have been doing some really good work. But Andre, that's not the only thing in the news. Coming up on Tuesday is the budget release. What's been going on in the news in regards to that?
Well, there's been a lot of interesting things happening. I'm sure a number of the viewers would have seen, if not directly through the papers and on the television, the protests on Q&A, and they're related to some of the proposed ideas that are being floated around about the budget on education, namely cuts to university funding. But as most of the time with budget, we don't actually know a terrible great deal of what's actually happening, other than that there is a lot of floating of ideas and speculation, namely that there's a debt tax, a debt levy being proposed by the government on people on higher incomes above 150,000. The Sydney Morning Herald covered that a fair bit today, speculating that if it was on the top 7% of taxpayers, it would draw in about $700 million, according to some of the researchers they interviewed. But there's also a lot of tax to other kinds of welfare, such as benefits, disability benefits, and unemployment payments.
Now, Andre,
so there's a lot of,
if the Liberal government does do that tax levy, that would break their initial election promise of not taxing in their first budget. What would that mean for the coalition?
Well, look, I think considering that the coalition did campaign on trust and on the basis of no new taxes, it will damage a lot of the trust the electorate has in them. And a number of commentators have said that. It's not necessarily the policy's a bad idea, it's that it's the trust issue, and I think that that's what's going to it could end up plaguing the coalition over the next couple of years, as the no carbon tax pledge plagued the Labor government.
We've also had a few changes in legislation in the past few months, one being the recognition of a third category of sex. What news have you got in terms of diversity for us this week?
Well, as I'm sure a number of you would also know, the High Court ruled that the state of New South Wales had to recognise Nori as not having a specific gender. And that's coming off the back of a lot of campaigning in that sort of area in gender diversity and sex diversity. I do believe that a number of UOW students were out today doing a rainbow crossing, a DIY rainbow crossing, which started off as a movement after the New South Wales government tore up the rainbow crossing on Oxford Street, and has now formed into a worldwide movement for LGBTI rights. And I do believe Brittany Cartner filed a report this morning speaking to one of the organisers.
Hi guys, I'm down with Julie Croft and we're in front of a very colourful crossing in front of the library here. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about what you're doing?
I'd love to. The rainbow crossing here is made out of chalk, and the Ally Network got together this morning, and the Ally Network consists of more than 100 staff and many students who are friends of people who identify with lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender or intersex group. So we're celebrating equality, recognising that we can all be different, but we're all still the same. Last year we had a rainbow crossing, and that commemorates the removal of the rainbow crossing in Oxford Street at Taylor Square.
And I understand that today is a bit more about relaunching the Ally Network.
So the Ally Network here at the university did launch a year ago, and we're using this again as an anniversary, just to remind people that we're there and to encourage people to come and join us.
Thanks Julie for talking to us. Back to you guys.
Oh, that was more good work from the UOWTV team.
Yeah, we hope that rainbow stays in more ways than one.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, Andre. Now we're going to go to a quick break, and while we're there, we're going to show you what's on in Wollongong.
So 5 days of living off $2 a day is equivalent to the extreme poverty line, and this is live below the line. UOW's currently raised about over $2,500, and sitting with me in the studio today I have Nirmala Kirkman, who has raised the most out of the UOW team.
Yay.
How have you done it?
Well, thanks guys, everybody, calm down. I don't know, I just started doing it via sponsorship on Facebook. I saw it and I was like, oh look, and it's the last week before you can join up or something. And then I just went crazy, just got a bit obsessed there. Did a bit of a procrastination situation. Yeah.
Have you had any what kindness have you sort of experienced from your friends and family in terms of donations?
Well, I'm pretty abusive to my relatives, and so I'm just like, Mum, please, Dad, please.
Flashbacks to the old fun runs when we were in primary school.
It was pretty bad, and with my aunties that I haven't talked to in months or something, I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? I know you have money.
So what's the secret? $10 a day. I've already blown through $10 already this morning.
I know.
So how do you do $2 a day?
Well, I'm surprised. It really is actually easier than it looks.
Really?
Basically, you just buy your food in advance, so $10.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought spaghetti, pasta, tomato sauce for pasta, pesto. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I had it today. So good. Bread was a really good choice. Potatoes, I have 4 potatoes left. I have milk, tea and sugar because I can't live without that. And I have a little bit of salt. I had 94 cents left. Yeah, so
what's your final meal going to be tomorrow?
Final meal before?
Yeah, before the end. And then what's your celebratory meal going to be?
Some more pesto pasta. I'm really into this, or a potato with some butter. Yeah, I also added butter.
Is pesto pasta going to be your first meal when you're done?
Totally. Just love it now.
Just won't stop.
I don't know. Something meat. I need something meat. I know it's terrible, but craving it so bad.
And for everyone else that's still doing it, what's the best distraction from hunger?
Well, going to a concert. On Tuesday night, I went to the Arctic Monkeys concert, and that was a very good distraction. I didn't get hungry until the second last song, so that was pretty cool, but then the train ride home was pretty bad. you know, because I'm not like hungover or drunk and stuff like that. So that was pretty awkward.
I'm not sure you can hear, but my stomach's rumbling, and I don't have eaten like 2 meals today already, so I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, poor me.
We probably should have moved the lollies for you. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh, all the temptation. No, I asked somebody for gum, and I was just like, wait a second, I can't do that.
So you can't ask for food or accept free food?
No charity.
No,
no charity.
I can't go foraging as well. I have to just like count that into all my money. Like, so I have 94 cents left. Like,
Okay.
That's about it.
Well, look, we're hoping that you're going to reach your $500 mark, and good luck with the rest of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
I don't know how you're doing it, but somehow you are. But,
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, but for now, we're going to go to Rangy Angie for another one of her classic rants.
Hey guys, today it's a rant and it's all about politics.
The government and their direct action scheme is not addressing the fundamental problem that we have in this country, and that is that we're solely run on fossil fuels. Marriage equality gives us the shits as well when people talk about how it affects them. I read a post on Facebook yesterday, and it basically said, the guy in front of me ordered a different sub sandwich to me. I was deeply upset about this, even though it didn't affect the sub which I ordered. This is how I feel when people talk about marriage equality.
Oh,
marriage equality, Subway.
Subway, marriage equality go hand in hand. I know when I was explaining my parents' breakup, they use a Subway to, explain it all to me.
I do appreciate his metaphor, but I think Rangy Angie got onto someone pretty passionate.
Pretty passionate about his sandwiches and his marriage equality. I like him that way.
Yes, and we have another passionate young student. This time it's a musician and he's a violinist. His name's Tom Buckley and he's been playing since he was 8 years old. He's here with an original piece for us today. Let's go to Tom. Awesome, thank you.
That's all right.
How long did it take you to come up with that?
I did it in 2 sessions. One was about a week and a half ago, and then the other one was actually just last night. Of course.
Classic uni student.
Yeah. But when I'm writing music, it always sort of comes and goes in bursts. I mean, it often comes at a really inconvenient time, like when I'm driving or something.
Do you just hop out of the car and whip it out?
Well, that's the thing, you can't really. So you get this great bit of inspiration, or just when I wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, well, I can't be bothered to write now. So yeah, you can't just sort of sit down like an essay and just do it.
Gotta wait for it to come to you.
Yeah.
Good excuse to procrastinate.
Yeah, well, it's a really nice way to procrastinate as well. It's
waiting for inspiration.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was had some classical influences. What else inspires your music?
I don't know. I'd call myself one of those people that listens to a bit of everything, but obviously it has got that classical influence. The style is like a cadenza out of a classical concerto, so where you have it's a solo instrument that plays with an orchestra or a piano or something like that, and then there's a
breakout?
It's sort of a bit like a breakdown in like a contemporary song, I suppose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like the guitar solo in maybe a piece or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
I don't know about classical music.
Yeah, and it's basically, originally they were improvised on the spot.
Cool.
But as they became more popular, people started to make them more and more impressive. So, you know, they had to write them down and make them more ridiculous. And
hopefully we see it in an orchestra someday.
Yeah, maybe.
Fingers crossed, Alice. I think, unfortunately, this brings us to our least favourite part of the episode.
Yeah, look, we've had rants, we've had protests, we've had strikes, we've had a violinist. It's been a good day.
The complete package, really. Everyone at home is so lucky.
Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again next week on Thursday at 1 p.m.
See you guys then.